There are seasons in life when the world just stops making sense. When even the strongest smile feels like a mask you can't take off. When your body is tired, not from work, but from carrying pain. Your mind races with questions no one can answer. Your soul feels heavy, like it's dragging itself through each day. You try to be brave. You try to be strong. But when the silence gets loud, when the nights feel endless, you begin to wonder, is there anything that can truly heal me? Not just my body, but my heart, my faith, my sense of meaning. You've prayed, you've waited, you've whispered through tears, God, where are you? And yet, something keeps you listening. Something deeper than logic, a faint warmth in the cold, a small light flickering in the corner of your soul. Maybe, just maybe, you're not alone. There is an ancient song, written by a man who knew deep sorrow, not from stories, but from living it. He lost, he wept, he broke. But in the middle of it all, he wrote something that still echoes through time, bringing comfort to the broken and strength to the weary. You may not know the words yet, but this psalm, this promise, has waited for you. It's not just poetry, it's a door. And when you're ready to walk through it, it meets you right where you are. In the ache, in the confusion, in the silence. So before we go any further, breathe, lay it down, not forever, just for a moment. And let these words reach the part of you that has quietly been waiting to feel whole again. When everything falls apart, people often ask, how do I keep going? When the diagnosis comes, when the phone call breaks your heart, when the dream crumbles and the night won't end, it's not willpower that holds you together, not optimism, not even strength. It's faith, not the kind you wear like jewelry, but the kind that lives deep in your bones, quiet, unshakable, the kind that whispers, even if I don't understand this, I'm not alone. Faith isn't the absence of fear. It's the presence of something stronger beneath it. It's the root that holds when the storm rages. It's the voice that says, you've made it through too much to stop now. History remembers names like Martin Luther King Jr., not just for their courage, but for their faith in what they couldn't yet see. He once said, with faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. That's what faith does. It turns chaos into clarity. It turns despair into direction. And this isn't just spiritual poetry. Even science agrees. A study by the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2014 found that patients who practiced prayer or meditation faced illness with more resilience, less stress, and deeper peace. Because faith heals, not just the body, but the spirit that carries it. It gives you permission to breathe again, to rise again, to believe again. Even when nothing around you changes, faith changes you. And sometimes that's the miracle we've been waiting for. Maybe you've been holding it in for too long. The tiredness that sleep can't fix, the ache you can't explain, that quiet feeling that something inside you has been slowly breaking. You smile in public. You stay strong for the ones who depend on you. But when the world gets quiet, you wonder how long you can keep going like this. You've tried to stay hopeful. You've told yourself this is just a season. But some seasons feel like they never end. And somewhere along the way, your faith, once bright and burning, has become a flicker. You start to question, maybe this is how it ends. Maybe the best parts of me are already behind me. Maybe God's just gone quiet. But let me tell you something. The fact that you're still here, still searching, still listening, means your story isn't finished. You're not forgotten. You're not forsaken. You're not beyond healing. The very pain you carry right now, the weight no one sees, has brought you to this moment. And in this moment, there's a psalm that's been waiting for you. Psalm 30 wasn't written by a man in victory. It wasn't born from comfort. It came from the ashes of brokenness. David wrote it in a season of loss, when everything around him was collapsing. And yet, he wrote of joy, not because he saw it, but because he believed it would return. He said, "Weeping may last through the night, but joy comes with the morning." That's not just a line. It's a promise, and it's yours, if you'll dare to believe again. It seems strange, doesn't it, to talk about gratitude when life feels like it's falling apart, to speak of praise when your heart is full of grief. But that's where the miracle begins. Gratitude is not a reaction to what's good. It's a weapon in the middle of what's not. You don't wait until the pain is over to give thanks. You give thanks in the middle of it, because it changes you, not magically, not instantly, but deeply. A study in 1928 by psychologist Robert Emmons asked people to write 3 things they were grateful for each day. And the result? Their moods lifted, stress dropped, resilience soared even when life didn't change. Because gratitude doesn't ignore pain. It gives you strength to carry it differently. David knew that. Psalm 30 wasn't written in comfort. It was written in chaos. He had enemies. He had anguish. But still he praised. He said, "You turned my mourning into dancing. You took off my sackcloth and clothed me with joy." He didn't wait for the celebration. He declared it in advance. And that's the power of praise. Praise says, "God, I trust you even in this." It lifts your heart above your circumstances. It doesn't deny the storm, but it declares who stands above it. And history has shown, when people choose to praise in the dark, things begin to shift. Like Paul and Silas, beaten, in prison, chained. But at midnight, they sang. And as they sang, the prison shook. Doors opened, chains broke. That's not a fairy tale. That's the sound of spiritual law in motion. When you praise, heaven responds. Even science now confirms it. Studies from Duke University show that worship and music activate parts of the brain that release calm, joy, and resilience. So yes, gratitude and praise are not just ideas. They're tools, they're power, and they're available to you right here, right now. You don't have to feel perfect to lift your voice. You just have to begin. Because when you praise through pain, you tell the darkness it doesn't win. There comes a moment in every story when comfort can't carry you anymore. You either shrink from the pain or you rise with it. You see, suffering isn't the end. It's a doorway, but only if you're willing to walk through it. That doesn't mean pretending the pain isn't real. It doesn't mean forcing a smile or ignoring what broke you. It means choosing what to do with it. Because pain will either make you bitter or it will make you brave. Look at Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the horror of Nazi concentration camps. He lost his family. He lost his freedom. But he didn't lose his purpose. He said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." That's what suffering invites you into. Not punishment, but transformation. In the Bible, Job lost everything. His children, his health, his fortune. And yet he said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." And what happened? God restored him double. Not because Job was perfect, but because Job stayed available to purpose. even in the pain. So here's the hard question. Are you willing to believe that your suffering isn't just for survival, but for something greater? Are you willing to trust that what you're walking through now might one day be the very reason someone else finds hope? Because purpose doesn't come after the pain. It's born right in the middle of it. The Apostle Paul said, "When I am weak, then I am strong." Not because weakness is easy, but because it forces us to depend on strength that's not our own. You may not see it yet, but there is strength being built in you, quietly, in the cracks, in the tears, in the moments no one saw, but God did. And if you'll let Him, God will take everything that tried to destroy you and turn it into fuel. The same fire that almost consumed you will become the fire that carries you forward. But it begins with a decision, not a loud one, just a quiet whisper that says, "I'm not giving up here. This won't be the end of me." Sometimes words aren't enough. Sometimes advice feels empty, and all the noise in the world can't reach the part of you that's really hurting. That's when prayer becomes more than a practice. It becomes a lifeline. You don't have to know the right words. You'll need to sound spiritual. You just need to be honest, because God doesn't respond to performance. He responds to truth. David, the same man who wrote Psalm 30, didn't always pray pretty prayers. Sometimes he cried. Sometimes he shouted. Sometimes he confessed his doubts and fears openly. And yet, in every single moment, he was heard. That's the kind of relationship God wants with you. Not polished, not rehearsed. Just real, like a child talking to a father. No filter, no pressure. It's trust. Prayer is the bridge between where you are and where healing began. Not always outwardly, but always within. And even science agrees. A study published in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine found that people who pray regularly experience less anxiety, more resilience, and deeper emotional balance. Not because prayer changes everything around them, but because it changes everything within them. Because when you pray, you stop carrying everything alone. You let go even for a moment. And in that letting go, peace enters. If you've never prayed before, it starts simple. God, I'm tired. I don't know what to say, but I need you. It's more than enough. And if you already pray, go deeper, not louder, just more honest. Read Psalm 30 out loud. Let each word soak into the places that feel dry. Let it remind you you are still seen, still held, still loved. You don't have to have it all figured out to pray. You just have to show up. Because sometimes the greatest miracle is not in the answer, but in the peace that comes while you wait. Maybe no one told you this before, but your story isn't over. The pain you've walked through, it didn't break you. It built something deeper, something that can't be seen from the outside, but is unshakable on the inside. You are still here, and that matters, because behind you may be broken dreams, but ahead of you, there's a new chapter already being written. Psalm 30 says, "You turn my mourning into dancing. You remove my sackcloth and clothe me with joy." That's not just poetry. At the promise, the sorrow may have lasted through the night, but joy is coming with the morning. Not because everything magically changes, but because you begin to change. You begin to see that healing isn't just returning to how things were. It's becoming something even stronger than before. Think about Job. He lost everything: his health, his children, his legacy. And yet, when the time was right, God restored it all, not just to what it was, but double. And that same God hasn't changed. You are not forgotten. You are not finished. You are being restored. Maybe not all at once, maybe not in ways the world will notice, but piece by piece, grace is gathering the parts of your life that felt lost, and it's building something sacred. You are not behind. You are being prepared. So take heart. Lift your head. Let your soul breathe again. The dawn is coming, and when it breaks, you will look back on this night, not with bitterness, but with awe, because you'll see what God was doing all along. He was restoring, He was refining, He was rewriting your story into something more beautiful than you dared imagine. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep praising even if your voice shakes, because your morning is near. And when it comes, you'll dance again, not just because the pain is gone, but because the one who brought you through has made you new.